I mentioned intellectual curiosity. I certainly value that. And like I said, I mentioned that earlier, like, setting aside all the degrees and stuff like that, like the law degree. The way I look at it is a necessary step in order for you to practice. And that's some of the best advice that I actually got going into law school, which is like, don't be overwhelmed with this. And I've gotten that advice actually two times by two black women who both said, don't get overwhelmed by the training that's necessary to do what you want to do, right? So if I had to say anything about going back to the law school piece, which is you go and you get your graduate degree because you want to do well in law school, but that's not the goal. The goal is to go out there and practice and do something else, right? Um, Same thing when I was teaching, I did training there, and I called up a friend, Courtney Patterson, for some advice on getting through, teacher training, and she said, "Hey, this training is just a step for you to get back in the classroom with the babies. Remember why you're there." Same thing with the legal stuff. Like, go and get your degree, but keep in mind what you intend to do with it, and that's probably as important as getting a degree. The degree is necessary, but figure out what you want to do with it, and that's your motivator. So back to being intellectually curious, because you asked what I value. So I would say discipline's important. You know, Fitness is one example. It's always important to be intellectually curious, and that doesn't mean you have to have a degree to do that. That could be you pick up a book, you like poetry, you're pursuing your interest. And then I say community. Community is super important to me. You know what I mean? Like one of the things I know you notice here, I hope you notice here in Chicago, but it's the same thing back in New York. Like I belong to a community. I go back home, I walk the block, I say hi to my own neighbors, Miss Yolanda, Miss Joanne, Miss Denise. I see Francis and her twins, tons of people, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing here in Chicago. Like it's one thing to just be in the city, um, and taking advantage of everything downtown and be involved in your professional network and so on. But I'd like to think that I'm also grounded in community. I could walk out and say hi to my neighbors and they would recognize me, they'd recognize my kids, and you'd be a good steward of your neighborhood and good citizen where you're at. So those